Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone and welcome to another fabulous episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty P. Thanks for watching. So today, even though we were going into the immense breakdown of Batman v Superman, we're going to take a little break, a little sojourn, if you will, into comic books. This week DC released Rebirth Special #1, which begins telling us the story of how the DC Universe is going to be reborn, except the way it seems to me is much of that rebirth centers around Superman, and much of the punishment for the New 52 also settles around Superman. People have not been happy about the New 52 version of Superman since before the launch. Now we have some new readers or some continuing readers who were just fine with it. I personally didn't have a problem with the character himself. Obviously, I have said before, the stories have been a bit lackluster, and nothing really to write home about while reading the writing that they wrote. That being said, it is my belief that DC has made the biggest blunder with Superman that they've ever made in history. This includes Man of Steel, or Batman v Superman, or even Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, which completely misappropriated Superman, misused him, and put him in a position just so that Frank Miller could make his political statements, but meanwhile tarnishing the character of Superman in a complete misunderstanding of who the character is, how he acts, or what he believes in. Smallville made him very violent, very whiny, kind of not happy being Superman, very hesitant. This move by DC is much worse, and I'll tell you why. They have decided that because the fans don't like the fact that Superman doesn't have his red trunks and isn't with Lois anymore and doesn't have a spit curl, and because he's a little more brash and harkens back a little bit more to the golden age or the early beginnings when Siegel and Schuster first designed him, when he would routinely toss bad guys off of docks to be crushed between two boats that were parked there and laugh about it, when he would routinely bend female villains over his knee and slap them on the behind, giving them a spanking, teaching them a lesson, and he would laugh about it. When he would blow up Japanese airplanes by smashing them both together and not worry about the pilots who were merely humans inside. This harkens back to a time of all that, except for the killing. The New 52 DC Superman did not go as far as to throw men off docks and laugh as they were crushed to death, or pull the pin on a bad guy's grenade and push him away and watch him explode and giggle with glee, as Superman did back in those days for quite a while. He was definitely more brash in the New 52, but he was not so far as to not be Superman. Although it could be argued that had he done the things that Superman did when Siegel and Schuster first designed him, he would still have been Superman, because that was Superman then. And there has been time throughout where he has killed, where he has hurt, where he has argued, where he has been angry, where he has beaten people, where he has hit people while he has hung them from buildings. All of that has happened in the past, and it happened in the New 52, except for the killing. Again, he hung people from the building, he was a little more brash, he bucked authority, he was a champion of the oppressed, which is what he was initially designed to be, and so they wanted to harken a little bit back to that. They wanted to make him younger. All the other heroes were made younger as well, even though Batman, for some reason, inexplicably got to keep his entire past history, even though it had only been 5 years since the heroes had started to appear in the New 52. I won't lie, I won't exaggerate. Obviously, there were many, many issues. It was not all that well thought out, and none of the writing, at least for Superman, which is all I really read, was all that compelling. But does that mean that the New 52 Superman was not Superman? No, it doesn't at all. And this whole concept of my Superman is absurd. And I'll tell you why. Superman is Superman. He's nobody's Superman. He's not your Superman. He's not my Superman. Christopher Reeve was Superman in '78, and then in a couple of movies after that. And a lot of people identify with that being their Superman, because that's the Superman they grew up with. The John Byrne reimagination of Superman's origin in the Man of Steel miniseries in 1986 was a reimagining that a lot of people latched onto, and that was their Superman. And supposedly, even though they're all imaginary and they're all made up and it's all Superman, that Superman is the one that's coming back now. But in order for him to come back, the one who ended up marrying Lois and impregnating Lois, and during the Telos debacle, they gave birth to a baby, and in the future he, well, we've already seen, will be a super son and have superpowers, is coming back into the New 52 universe, although New 52 is kind of going to be rewritten and go away with Rebirth. And in order to make room for him to come back, because let's remember, he dressed in all black, grew a beard, hid away from people because he didn't want to get in the New 52 Superman's way, and it wasn't his place. So instead of going out and being Superman and helping, like maybe Superman would do, he decided to hide in the woods in a cabin with Lois, have his son, and kind of do things covertly. He still helped people, but not in the open, and not nearly as much as he might if he were wearing the red and blue and he were the one true Superman, whom the New 52 Superman on this universe is. Killing the New 52 Superman with no fanfare, with no media frenzy like it was when he was killed by Doomsday in 1992 or 3, is a mistake because Superman is legendary. Superman is iconic, and just because some of the fans don't like the writing, the ones who actually read it, not the ones who decided to boycott just when the breakup of Lois and Clark was announced, even though it wasn't really a breakup, because in this continuity they've never really been together. Would we have gotten to that? It's very possible, although the Wonder Woman-Superman relationship was going just fine. Here's the problem. Wonder Woman, Batman, the Justice League, are they all just going to say, we don't care that Superman was killed, we're just going to take this new guy, because I'm sure he'll be just as good. His lover, Wonder Woman, his best friend, Batman, they had a great relationship, those three characters. And the thing is that even if you love the post-crisis version of Superman, the pre-52 version of Superman, who eventually married Lois, although they were only together and or married for a very short time in Superman's history, no one on this earth will naturally accept him as Superman. It does look like it's a bit of a mystery. Superman has disappeared, so it's very likely they're just going to bring in the new Superman and not tell the rest of the world that this isn't Superman or wasn't Superman. He's another version of Superman, but no one has to know that. It's just going to be, he'll take over. But what about Wonder Woman and Batman and the people who know he isn't? The people who know he's not the Superman that they loved or the Superman that they knew. We know as fans reading that that will never change. Even if a year from now DC wipes it all and all the characters act like they've always been the characters from the beginning, we'll still know that there's no way those characters would forget about the Superman that they knew, that they fell in love with, that they were friends with, that they were comrades with, that they worked alongside with, just because this new/old guy came back. I have no problem with them reverting back to the old times, the way it was before the New 52. I'm not a giant fan of the New 52 stories that Superman has been a part of, but what breaks my heart is that they decided to just kill this guy. He had a great heroic death. He purposely put himself into a kryptonite chamber because he knew that was the only way he could gain power to save the world, and he knew it was going to kill him. He did it anyway, and you still have fans saying, he's no hero, he only cares about himself, he's selfish, he's not Superman. That was a very Superman thing to do, as opposed to maybe hiding in the dark in the woods somewhere in a black suit and not helping anyone. I understand why it's happening. I understand what they're doing. The move is to sell comics. But this just wasn't the way to go, in my opinion. Most of the fans don't care about the things I'm mentioning because they just want to see their Superman come back. And I just think this is the most hurtful thing that's ever been done to Superman, because this is still Superman, whether he's a little more brash or not.